Alright, got new mud tires on the truck today. New wheels, 20-inch wheels. These are 33 by 12 and a halves. So 12 and a half wide, 33 tall. A lot better than what I had on it. Check that out. Pretty awesome. So, I think it looks pretty good. A lot better than it was. I also got my tractor tire fixed. I didn't film that because it was freezing cold, and well, I forgot. So these were really hard to mount. We had trouble getting the bead to seal up, so it took a long time to get these mounted. And I've got my lights in that I'm going to put on the tractor and a new seat for it. My wheel bearings and spindle bushings didn't come in yet though, so that'll be next weekend. So it's the end of my Friday. Like I said, tires took too long, so I wasn't able to get that seat mounted on the tractor. And then I'm going to have to build up some brackets for the lights. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. So tomorrow the plan is to work these girls and get the pour-on for the lice put on them. So we'll get that done. And depending on how long that takes, I'll probably start working on the lights for the tractor. I'm going to try and get the seat put on before I need it again tomorrow to put hay out. So I want to get that done. It won't be hard. It's just like, I don't know, like six screws, I think. And the old one comes off, the new one should bolt right on. That'll be done. So we'll do that tomorrow. See you guys in a minute. Alright, so here's the old tractor seat. This is why I'm replacing it. This just soaks up water, and when you sit on it, it just soaks right through your butt. So the seat that I bought, here's just new cushions. It did come with the rest of it. It's the exact same seat though as what's on it. So I'm not going to replace the metal part. You know, it's all muddy, but there's nothing wrong with it. It all works. So I'll just pull these cushions off real quick. Should be pretty easy. And slap the new ones on. So I'll bring you back in a second. Change of plans. This whole pattern is different than what's on the new seat. So we're going to replace the whole thing. So I'm putting the seat together down here on the ground because it's easier to get to it. And I got this cheap Harbor Freight toolkit. Right, so these are 1/2 inch. So as you can see, 1/2 inch. There you go. Look, doesn't fit. So I got to get to the ones down inside there. And it would be easier to do it with this. It doesn't fit around the stupid bolt. This is what happens when you buy cheap tools. It's driving me crazy. I've got to get a better toolkit. Alright, that's checked. So, nice comfortable seat now. Oh yeah, it's actually way better. Let's see, here's adjustable. Nice. I like it. So, and my butt won't get wet every time I sit in it. So, alright, the plan was, after I fixed that, to start working on figuring out how I'm going to mount my lights. And I think what I've come up with on that is there's this plate right here, and I'm going to make a thing that sandwiches around it, and then I'll put bolts underneath of it that will clamp it on there, and then I'll have my mount sit my light right up here, inset from this kind of bumper. That way if I run it into something, I don't smash the light. So it'll be sitting back here, and then whenever I'm driving with the bucket picked up just a little bit off the ground, it should shine through this middle area right here. And then if I've got the bucket all the way up in the air, I'll be able to see kind of underneath of it, of course. So that's going to be that front light. The one back here is trickier. Well, so first of all, I got that little 1 foot, or maybe it's 10 inch, I don't remember, a smaller light bar that I'm thinking about mounting to the back of the seat to shine down back here, that I can turn on when I'm trying to, you know, attach the hay spike or brush hog or whatever, just so I can see. And then if I'm out brush hogging, I'll be able to look back and see that. I don't know if I'm actually going to do that though. And the other thing I have is some little bitty square spots that I want to mount up here somewhere. But if I put it right here, you can see what's right in front of me is the loader arm. So really it would need to be over here, kind of over the tire, and really up higher would be better. So I'm trying to decide what to do on that. What I'm thinking about is taking my fenders off and taking them into work at my day job after hours or something, and modifying them so that they have like a little, like a kind of a bug antenna that sticks out, you know, puts the light up here somewhere, shining that way. And then I'm going to mount those so that they can swivel, and they're like little spots, so they'll be kind of giving me flood up in front of me whenever I'm just driving along, but they're going to be a narrower beam than the big floodlight bar that I have to put up on the front. And so I'll be able to kind of turn them, you know, if I'm parked somewhere I need to stop and look at something, or look at a cow, or whatever the case may be, I can park it and then maybe, you know, turn one of those spots to shine out anywhere that I want it. And if I do that, then I'm thinking I could just turn one of those around to look behind me, and then I don't need to put that little light bar on the back. And if I decide to do that, I'm gonna put that little light bar right here. So again, inset so that I can't bump into stuff, because I do ram stuff with this four-wheeler sometimes, like gates and whatnot, or the other four-wheeler when I'm pushing it around. I still got to fix that one. I'm irritated. The battery's dead that I just put in it, mostly because of me trying to crank it and stuff. But I think I've still got some electrical problems on this one, and I'm debating tearing this whole thing apart and running all new wire everywhere on it, just to make sure that I don't have a short somewhere, or a ground rather. Well, it's a short to ground, that is. I don't know yet. Anyway, though, this light that's on it is good, but you can't adjust the tilt of it. I mean, you know, angle grinder, welder, hammer and stuff, I can adjust it, but I would have to take the bracket all apart and change it. There's no way to adjust kind of the angle of the dangle there. And I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, see how it's pointed downwards? It just doesn't shine out very far in front of me. I'd rather have something that points kind of straight out. So I might put that little light bar on this four-wheeler, and then I'd probably just wire it into the same switch. Maybe have, so this has a high and low beam, so maybe I'd leave the low beam so it's just that, and then be able to click it over to the high beam, and that bright LED would come on. So I think that may be what I'll do. Anyway, so working on that was the plan, but getting ready to, well, not getting ready, but thinking about building a house. I've been watching a lot of YouTube, and there's a lot of good resources out there. One of them is Texas Barn Dominiums, which he builds a lot of, that fella Eric, builds a lot of the style of house that I'm kind of wanting to build. Most of his are focused on the house and maybe have a shop building. Mine will be opposite of that, of course. But, you know, I watch his videos looking for inspiration. And one of the things I was noticing last night is that the places where he's putting his houses are just beautiful. It's just huge expanses. They're down in Texas, so just big tracts of land, rolling plains as far as you can see in every direction, and, you know, little cedar trees and stuff, and just beautiful landscape. And I got to thinking, where my camper is now, I had said from the start, is not the ideal place to build a house, I don't think. But there's a septic tank there, there's easy road access, power's already there, so it would be more convenient. Try to get out of the wind here. But I don't think that's really what I want. So I started looking on Google Earth at my land, and off this way, there's a corner of the land that is I've been cut off from because the creek's been flowing too much. But it's a decent sized little piece. It's probably 40, 50 acres, something like that. And building a house out there would come with some unique difficulties, because I have to get across that creek. So I'd have to build a bridge, and it'd have to be a pretty good one, because I'm going to need to be getting concrete trucks and gravel trucks and maybe even 18-wheelers with building supplies back there when I go to start building. So I'd have to build a really substantial bridge, and there's a few spots on this side of the creek that maybe I could clear trees. But today, I think, at least here for a little while, I'm going to go get across that. The creek's going to be flowing because we've had a bunch of rain, but I'm going to grab my four-wheeler and my chainsaw, And if I have to cut a tree down and build a bridge, just temporarily a footbridge, then that's what I'm going to do, one way or another. Whether I find a way across or make a way across, I'm going to get over there and go look at that little corner of my land that I haven't seen yet. And I may start thinking about trying to build my house back there somewhere. So we're going to go do that and just go explore and figure out what's over there. So yeah, I'll show you guys when I get there. Okay, so this is why you bring a chainsaw with you when you're exploring. This tree had fallen over, and this is my fence here. It kind of crushed it, so I went ahead and cut it out of the fence. I'm going to get that kind of stood back up where it's supposed to be. Got this down into nice manageable pieces. I'll just roll all them out of the way, kind of stack them up over here, and I'll remember it's out here. One of these days I'll come out and get this, and it'll be firewood if it's not rotten by then. So let me get this fence fixed. Alright, so one thing just to point out, if I was going to build back here, from looking at it on the map, what I think I would do is cut my driveway right through here. This is really close to the edge of my property line. So I've got all these big trees. That's a big hackberry tree. I might move it over this way, the driveway, just a little bit. And of course I'm going to have some drainage problems here. So likely what I would have to do is kind of build up the banks and then put in a big tin horn. The creek is right over here. Now this is on my neighbor's side of the fence. This is part of it. And well, I think this little finger actually leads to the creek, so I'm not quite to it yet. But you know, I'd have to clear out this line somewhere in here all the way that way, and then eventually, like I said, build a bridge. So I'll show you where that would be. Well, so this is the creek. My property line is, you can't hardly see it, fence right there though. And then back this way, that's where I'm wanting to try to get. This is bigger than I expected even. So this may not really be an option. So I'm gonna walk kind of the length of it here and see if I can find a place to get across. And I don't know. It's going to be tricky. See, this is the problem. It's fairly deep over here. So, and I need to look and check on the map and make sure I'm still within my property lines. So I'll see if I got any GPS service. All right, I know you guys probably can't see it, but right kind of across here is kind of a little gravel bar I was able to walk across. So on the other side of it now, and I am still on my property. So let me get up here. Let's go look around. There should be kind of a clearing back here. All right, found the clearing. This definitely looks like it was artificially cleared. There were some trees that had been sawn back there, so somebody had been back there at some point. And I'm looking around in here, and there's nothing to me that obviously looks like it was grown as a food plot. We're starting to get trees growing back up in here. These trees are probably a year, maybe two old, which tells me that it's been at least that long since anything was intentionally grown out here. Some of this kind of looks like a ryegrass, so they might have grown like a winter ryegrass out here just for the deer. Not sure, but how cool is this little spot? So okay, now there's kind of an opening over here. I'll go explore, see where that goes. But you know, imagine at the end of the day getting home from work and driving through this type of stuff to a sweet little cabin secluded out here, surrounded by trees. How neat would that be? And then there's a place over here that I'd be able to cut a road back towards my hay barn, so I would never have to hit the actual road again, hop on four-wheeler and head straight that way. That would be pretty sweet. I just got to figure out how to get across the creek. Okay, so I just walked from that way, that little clearing, not too far down. This is my neighbor's pasture. Interesting that there is a gate here. So I wonder if maybe they used to own this, and maybe that's how they were getting in here to clear the area for a food plot. Gate doesn't look like it's been used in a long time. So maybe that's what was going on. They were able to come right through here. You can see, I mean, there's a tree falling down here, but this area, you know, you look at this, And then look at this. This is obviously a lane here that somebody built. So that's not natural. So I'm going to say somebody else used to own this little piece. And David Sparks, the last owner of this land, I believe he's passed away, and then I bought this from his grandchildren. Or maybe his children, I'm not sure. Or maybe they're not even related. But he was the last person on Onyx who owned this land, and it's still actually what it says if you look it up. But he probably bought this off of these other people. I've not even met them yet. I need to do that. But this was probably managed as a hunting area, which is what I thought looking at it from the map. And I gotta tell you, there is deer sign everywhere. Tons of deer sign. No sign of pigs in here either. So maybe I don't want to build a house back here. Maybe I should just figure out how to get my tractor back here, re-clear this and cultivate a new food plot, and just maintain this and manage it as hunting land. I don't know. Let me keep walking around. Check that out. It's a rub. Another one right there on that tree. It looks like this year. Yeah, look, oh man, I missed this one. Check that out right there. More here. This one. There's some big bucks running around in here. Yeah, maybe not big. There's some bucks running around. Suspicion confirmed. Check that out. Alright, so you see stuff like this. This is caused by water flow. Quite a bit of it. This whole area. You can see all the leaves and little sticks and stuff piled up. Stuff like this. Which means that this area is really not going to be suitable for building on. Not over here anyway. That looks like lateral line. What that probably actually is drain tile. So somebody might have tiled, I don't know, trying to drain this off. If you look right here though, so this kind of little area, it's not so obvious from down here, but right across from it is this area. This is all kind of a shallower area. And then there's some sort of metal right here. So I don't know if they used to have a bridge across here or what, but this looks like this used to be a place where you could get a tractor or something across the creek. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back across the creek over here. I think I can get across this little gravel bar area and see what I see on the other side. Alright, so that's the pasture I was brush hogging the other day. I'm back up kind of by the road. Check this out. I don't know what this used to be. I think it's upside down. Look at those holes though. You see that? That's a good piece of 1/4-inch plate right there. And some pretty heavy angle iron. And then over here is some sort of, I think, a trailer chassis maybe? Not real sure. Been here a long time. But some more steel in it. I don't know. Maybe a frame off of like a flatbed truck or something? I'm not sure. Between the two of these though, if I can drag this out of here, salvage some of this metal, especially that plate, this might just become my front hay spike on my tractor. Kind of cool, find stuff. Every time I go exploring and walking around, sometimes just feeding cows out in the pasture and then stumble across cool stuff. So talk about lucky. I was walking over this way. This is my land right here. This particular piece, I'm not sure if I'm technically on my side of the property or my neighbor's, but that dead heifer is up there, and that's where I've been setting traps for coyotes. I came over here and he was trying to get up this hill but he had got loose. So the way these traps work is they have these grappling hooks on the end of them that catch on stuff like this. And I saw him, and I thought it was a deer at first getting up to run. And I realized it was a coyote, and then I realized I had him in a trap. So I just happened to walk up and find him. Man, he would have been, I'd have probably never found this trap if I hadn't just happened to be walking around out here. So that's pretty lucky. So I think this is still technically mine, property-wise that is, but I may be into the neighbor's side just a little bit. So it's kind of tricky because of the way this creek runs. My property line comes through this way somewhere and through this way somewhere. So this is all my creek here, and then my pasture kind of ends right over there, and then so I'm kind of on the easement, I guess. Man, that was fortunate. These are my cousin's traps. I'd have felt bad if I'd lost one, but yeah, guess I got it. Found two more sheds back there and out right here, but they were laying right next to each other, only a few feet apart. I'm all the way over on the other side of the creek now. I've been on a bit of an adventure. My four-wheeler's still parked way off just out in the woods. And I was looking at my land over by my pond across the creek where all those pecan trees are. There's like a little stream that flows out of the hill there from my neighbor's side of the land. And then it comes onto my land, and it's just not draining. And so I decided to walk through here. So I jumped over my fence. Now I'm kind of over here, trying to figure out why it won't drain. And it's because of this beaver dam. Man, this is a big one. So I broke up a couple smaller ones to help get the water to this point. Now I've just been kind of following the reservoir here that the beavers have created. And I think this is the end of it. So you can see this should flow on down towards the creek. And it kind of is. You know, it's leaking a little bit. But man, look at all this beaver chewed sticks. And that's what most of this is. It's been chewed off by beavers, and then they just float it down here and it gets caught up on stuff. And this is causing some of my flooding issues. So let's see if I can't rip this apart. Okay, that's flowing again. Man, that's a ton of water right there. It's kind of getting caught up in the fence over there, so I'll sit here and babysit it for a little bit. But I'll go back and hopefully my land will start draining now. So I've got this spot that I've been wanting to kind of make a shallow ditch in so that all this water will drain. And I started to get the tractor out, and I was going to go brush hog like I said. And I decided, you know, maybe I should try to fix some of this stuff since it's been dry for a few days. So I started trying to fix some ruts back off over here, and everything's just too wet. Nothing doing. So I thought, well, as wet as everything is, I'm not going to drag a tractor out there. I'll probably just get stuck. But on my way past this, I realized, you know, I'm making ruts everywhere I go. So why not just make the ruts in the direction that I want the water to go? So that's part of the problem I've been having, is once I have ruts and they hold water, and then the area just keeps getting worse and worse. Well, so I just drove lengthwise through this area that stays wet a couple times. And now the water's kind of flowing. It's not perfect. It's not as good as a ditch, but that's kind of working. So, you know, I mean, a rut's kind of like a ditch, right? So, anyway, we'll see if this drains out.